Ruffle Headband, an ear warmer. We'll set her down over there. This pattern is a free pattern on my blog, and I will put that pattern in the links. It's the Double Ruffle Headband ear warmer. And today I'm going to be using, the pattern is originally written in cotton, and today I'm going to be using Vanna's Choice worsted weight. The pattern can be done in cotton or in worsted weight. If you do it in cotton, it makes a nice spring, early fall headband. Even summer evenings. Up in Colorado, the evenings can get cool. And but if you make it in a worsted weight, it's a little bit warmer. So what you're going to need is a couple ounces of worsted weight or cotton yarn. We'll be using our H hook today. You're going to need 3 buttons of your choice, and I like to use about an inch and a quarter size buttons. We're going to be putting wooden buttons on today. The other one that I did in cotton has pearl buttons. So, and these are just decorative, so you can choose any 3, or you might even want 2 big buttons. You're going to need a needle with a nice big hole to sew close the, to weave in your ends and to sew your buttons on. And that's about it. All right. Don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our video tutorials. So I'm going to go ahead and move the camera down so that you can see what I'm doing with my hands. All right, let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to chain 11. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, now we're going to start in the second chain from the hook and put 10 single crochets across. The pattern will be not change much. It'll go from 10 to 12 and then back down to 10. And what we're doing, this is the back part of the headband or ear warmer. Now, if you want your ear warmer to be a little bit thicker, this one measures, I think it's about 5 inches across, and if you want your ear warmer or headband to be wider, you can add about 2 to 3 chains per inch depending on how thick you stitch or how tight you stitch. So it's kind of up to you. I kept the pattern. Here, let's get rid of that paper so we're not messing with that. I kept it and made it so that it can be used for a child as well, and you just do that by doing less rows. Okay, so we've done 1 row of single crochet, and we're going to do this for 10 rows of single crochet. Is that right? 10? Yes. Okay, here I'll show you how to do the second row. And this is all stitched through both loops. It's nice and flat. Chain 1 at the end of every row is a turning chain and does not count as a stitch. All right, move our end there. And there we have 2 rows of single crochet. Now I'm going to go ahead and move to this piece here because I've already done 10 rows of single crochet. It looks like a little square. Because on our 11th row, what we're going to do is we're going to increase by 1 stitch on each end. And so you're going to do 2 single crochets in the first row, or the first stitch, excuse me. And then you're going to do 1 across in the next 8. Oops. I'm sorry. I keep holding it up too high, and I don't want that so that you can't see it. Okay. And then when we get to the last stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochets in that last stitch. And that's going to give us 12 stitches across because we increase by 1 on each end. Chain 1 and turn. Now, row 12 is where we're going to begin working in the back loops only. And if you notice on the top, you've got front loops and you've got back loops. And we're going to be stitching just in these back loops only. So Oops. There we go. Okay, so we want to make sure we get in that first one. And we're working in the back loops only. And this, by working in the back loops only, this is what gives you your headband stretchiness. And one thing I will tell you, when you're making your headband, you know, the pattern as written is about 18 to 20 inches depending on how tight you stitch. I stitched relatively loose, so it fits, for me it was about 19 and a half basically. But if you are a tight stitcher, it might end up being a little smaller. But the thing is, this makes it very stretchy, so you want your band to stay put on your head. You don't want it to slip off. So, okay, so we've done one row, and you're going to get these ridges, and that's what you want. Okay, we'll do one more row. You're going to have 12 stitches across, and stitching in the back loop only, just like this. And you're going to continue doing this for, I think it's up to, it goes to the 54th, let's see, yes, to the 54th row. So this would be a great project to take along with you somewhere, just to keep stitching all those single crochets for 54 rows. And we're not going to do that. I've got one ready for you so you can see it, so it doesn't make the video too long. One thing I try to do is not make my videos too long. Okay, now let me turn that so you can see. There's that ridge. Here's the back side, and you're going to have indentions and you're going to have ridges. All right, so if we do that for 54 rows, this is what it looks like. You've got the beginning part here, and then you've got 54 rows across. And we'll talk about the stitch markers in a second. And then I've already started the ending rows. And what you'll do is after your 54th row, on your 55th row, you're going to stitch the first 2 single crochets together, and then stitch across. And I'm going to show you how to do that real quick on this other piece, even though it doesn't have them all there. And what you'll do to stitch your first 2 single crochets together, you'll go in that first stitch and you'll pull a loop through. Then you'll go in the second stitch and pull a loop through, and you'll have 3 loops on your hook. And then you'll yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops, and that's how it becomes one stitch. And you've decreased there, and then you'll single crochet in the next 8 across, just like this. Whoops, there we go, it got a little splitty there. All right, so we've done 8 single crochets across, and when we're doing the end band, we're no longer working in the back loops. We're back to working through both loops. And then to decrease on the end, you're going to go through the second to the last stitch, pull a loop through, then go through that last single crochet, pull a loop through, yarn over, and go through both. And that gives you back to 10 stitches. Oops. So that's what we've done here, and let me just show you again. On this end is the beginning where we did regular single crochets, 10 stitches across. Then we increased 1 on each end and did 54 rows of back loop only. And now we're to the other end, and we decreased back down to 10, and we're doing 10 rows of single crochet across. All right, and we're just single crocheting for 10 rows again, just like I'm doing here. Just single crochet, single crochet. That's one neat thing about this project, is you don't have to have know a lot of stitches. It's really quite simple. Okay, now you're going to cut that off, tie it off, and make sure that you've got a good amount of yarn left on there. There's too much on there, probably about 16, 18, maybe even 20 inches would be plenty. And what you're going to do, when we're finished, because we still have to go in and put the ruffles on, when we're finished, we'll put those 2 ends together. Okay, now on this side, you'll notice I've got 4 stitch markers. What I've done is, because you need to mark row, let me look on my paper just so I tell you right. You need to mark row 40 and row 42. And then you need to also mark row 47 and row 49. And that's because that's where we're going to place our ruffles. And I'm going to pull my 1 stitch marker out, and then I'll show you how to put your ruffle on. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to join, I'm trying to see so you can see it, to that first stitch. You're going to join that, and you're going to chain. Let me look just to make sure. Let's see. Yes, chain 3. I couldn't remember if it was chain 2 or chain 3. And that chain 3, of course, becomes your first double crochet. And then I turn my work like this, so that because we're going to be working right across that ridge, just like that. And then we're going to put 3 double crochets in that same stitch. 1, 2, 3. So there we go. And then we're going to put 3 double crochets in each stitch across. And you're working through both loops across that top ridge of that row. 1. There we go. 2. And you can see it's already starting to form a little bit of a ruffle. 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let me a little more yarn here. Alrighty. And this section has 12 stitches across, and so you'll have 3 stitches in each stitch, plus the end at the beginning had the extra double crochet. 1, 2, oops, only did 2 in that one. Make sure we do 3. Alright, I'm not going to stitch all the ruffles because that would take way too long. I'm just showing you how to do this one so you'll know how to do the other 4, or the other 3, excuse me, for a total of 4. I chose this Vanna's Choice because I really liked the, oh, what do you call that? The heather in it, the flex. That's the word I'm looking for. I like the flex in it. I thought it'd give it a little bit more of a wintry look. All right, now that we're at the end, we're going to put 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to slip stitch into that same stitch. Oops. Oh, I got my needle cut, or my hook. There we go. And then, because we're going to go to this next ridge, just slip stitch 1 and slip stitch 2, and then chain 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then I just turn it again. Then the ruffle's at the bottom because we're doing the second ruffle, and then I'll just slip out that stitch marker because that's where that ruffle's going to go, and you do the same thing, and you do that across. Now you'll have a space here, so when you get to the end of this one, go ahead and single or slip stitch across. You'll have a little bit farther to slip stitch, but you'll slip stitch across, and then you'll do to here, and then you'll do 2 ruffles, and then you'll have a space where you can sew your buttons on. And let me show you on this one. This is the one I did with the blue sparkle. I really love this yarn. So here's the stitch, the row of ruffles we just did, and then we did this row of ruffles, and then you came here, you slip stitched, you did this ruffle, and then on this edge you'll slip stitch across here to get here, and you'll do the same thing, chain 3 and do your ruffle, 3 double crochets in each one, slip stitch, do the same thing here, and then tie off. And then in this space between is where you put your buttons, and of course we're going to use these wooden ones just like this.